For people who don't know, Kar-wai wears dark glasses all the time, all the time, all the time. I mean, Kar-wai looks like a figure from a John Woo movie. He's tall and lean. He's always reaching for a cigarette, and the sunglasses never come off. You wait for the double guns to come out. Walter Hill says it in his movies, action is character. And for Ip Man, it becomes that after a while as well. For him, those movements say who and what he is. I guess when you think about Bruce Lee, he was like a dancer. I mean, Pauline Kael called Bruce Lee the Fred Astaire of martial artists, and she got it squarely on the nose when she said that. And I'm sure when she wrote that about Enter the Dragon, she had no idea about Bruce Lee's literal musicality as a physical being, as a martial artist. And that sense of stardom that he brought, I mean, and also westernizing that sort of sense of announcement of Bruce Lee. He basically was sort of like clearing his throat as if preparing for an aria or doing a kind of a plie before he began his dance. That was the real break, too, that he was a singular figure rather than being kicked out of a school. I mean, he in those movies, Fists of Fury and Chinese Connection, it was about Bruce Lee as a star, and there was an announcement of Bruce Lee as a star, and those battles were battles he did alone. And even when he was in groups in those movies, what made him a star, he was that, he still stood alone and brought that kind of really showy, again, I think of the thing that connects Ip Man and Bruce Lee and Wong is this kind of grandeur and elegance, a real simplicity. There's physical contact in this movie that basically connotes closeness, that connotes intimacy. And there's a real intimacy here that's not basically somebody waiting for someone else to show up, but real contact and sparks flying. I mean, you know, in the way that they do when in this Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire, or Gene Kelly and Sid Charisse, or Gene Kelly and Frank Sinatra, if you swing that way. But it's that kind of touching. I feel, again, is a real sort of maturation. It's consummation in a Kar-wai movie. As close to it as we will probably ever see. The carnality here exists in a very different way, in an old-fashioned movie romance way, with a fight that's as much a dance number as it is anything else. I know. When Tony's feet move across the floor, there's that sort of sweep as if he's planning himself for a dance move. It feels more literally grounded than martial arts movies tend to feel. There's not that kind of sense of magic realism, people floating in the air. I mean, there certainly are air kicks and that kind of thing, but it feels like an incredibly earthbound martial arts movie. And I mean that in the best way, that it has a literal and spiritual sense of gravity. I mean, it certainly will satisfy your action appetites. There's no doubt about that. But it's just done in a way that you've never really seen before, because a lot of the action takes place really close up. It's incredibly clear, because you would think the action that's basically people almost face to face, or hand to chest, or sweeping foot without somebody floating in the air, you would think that would be the kind of thing could easily be muddled, especially since there's often rain going on or taking place in locations that are really shadowy, where things aren't visually clear. But Wong makes sure that you can follow the action all the way through. So it's not somebody making this kind of film who has no idea what he's doing. He just brings several layers of depth to it that give it a lot more resonance. I mean, I think it echoes in your mind after you see it.